Hello everybody and welcome back to Mining Modern. I'm Corbin Hosler and this is one of the coolest decks I've ever seen. It is Cat Taxes. We are playing Tribal Cats today on CoolStuffInc, and I am so excited. It literally is a cat tribal deck. Now, I'm going to be honest, everything in Modern right now is taken over by companions. This video will come out, and within a week, there's going to be some changes to companions. Wizards has announced we have no idea what's going to happen to the companion mechanic or how it's going to shake up Modern or Standard or Legacy or Vintage or any other format that companions are 70% of. But Rosie54 went on Magic Online in that world of companions and put up a 5-0 finish with Cat Tribal. All right, look at this. Look at this. We're gonna list off all the cats here. Regal Caracal. That's a cat. It gives your other cats +1 in lifelink, and it makes cats when it comes into play. We've got Brimaz. I love this one. When it attacks, you get cats. They have vigilance. It does everything. Pride Sovereign. It gets 1/1 for other cats you control. You can exert it. Remember that mechanic? Create 2/1/1 cat creature tokens. Qasali Ambusher. This is one of the first cards I ever played with when I started playing Magic. It's free. If a creature's attacking, you have a forest and a plains, you can pay it for free. It's a 2/3 for free. How insane is that? It's literally one of the first cards I ever saw that attracted me to Magic. And now I get to play it in a 5/0 Modern deck in the most broken time period of Modern that we've ever seen, outside of, I don't know, maybe Hogak or Eldrazi. This is crazy. I'm so excited. Of course, we've got Stoneforges and Thalias. That makes sense. We get that. More cats here, though. Qasali Pridemage. That one's got... This card used to be a staple. It's got Exalted. It can help you attack for more. It's a bear. It destroys artifacts or enchantments. It does it all. We've got Leonin Arbiter. Also, randomly a cat. And now we get to play this Taxes deck where we have Ghost Quarters and all of that to tax them out. A little bit of removal here. Path to Exiles. We've got the Sword package. You know, we've got everything you'd expect. Then we have this. The ultimate tilter, in my opinion. Mana Tithe. Countertarget spell unless its controller pays 1. This is, of course, a color-shifted version of Force Spike, I believe, the blue card. And now we're playing it in Modern, and we will get somebody today. Okay, I promise you, we will get somebody with the Mana Tithe. It works perfectly in this deck. Collected companies, go find them all. It is Cat Tribal, everybody. Pretty straightforward sideboard here. We've got some graveyard hate. We've got some island hate. We've got some Tron hate. Here's a cool one though. Winds of Abandon. Exile target creature you don't control. For each creature exiled this way, they can search for a basic land. You can also overload it. But the point is, with a Leonin Arbiter out, this just turns into a I don't know, whatever exiles with no drawback. That's what it does. Blessed Alliance is a nice one. Vryn Wingmare. This is a sweet sideboard. It's another Thalia, essentially, that's, you know, not legendary and not named Thalia, so you can have both of them in play. And then Aven Mindcensor, because if your opponent wants to play a Summoner's Pact or a Primeval Titan, there's no better feeling than just getting them with the Aven Mindcensor. It's an old trick. So there you go, everybody. It is time for Cat Tribal here on Mining Modern. I'm Corbin Hosler, and I'm excited to bring you this deck. Thanks for watching. Let's jump into the games. All right, here we go with Cat Tribal, everybody. I don't know about this hand. It's got a lot of cards I like. The mana's a little rough, but I do know that on turn 2, I plan on Mana Tithing somebody. And after that, we'll see what happens. I guess if we had an untapped land, we could just play out this Pridemage or this Arbiter. Arbiter is probably a pretty decent play. Look, I just took the 5-0 list exactly, so I'm not going to defend this Stirring Wildwood Castle Ardenvale draw. It's about as bad as it could get. We might not be getting anybody with the Mana Tithe on this one, unfortunately. I don't know. I like the Castle Ardenvale, actually. Well, maybe. I don't know. This card is... I get it. It's good. I like it. It's a good card, but... I mean, surely Modern's too fast for this, right? It is mostly a free roll, though, in this deck. Honestly, the Stirring Wildwood coming into play tapped might be more of an issue. But honestly, probably just bad variance to draw both of them together. Alright, does that count as Mana Tithing somebody? It has to, right? Our opponent cast an Inquisition of Kozilek. Had I played an untapped Plains on turn 1, I would have Mana Tithed it. So you know what? When my opponent casts Inquisition of Kozilek and takes my Mana Tithe, I consider that a win. I'm in. We did it. We Mana Tithed somebody. Alright. Now I guess let's see what we can do, because this game might actually be a bit of a challenge from here. Our hand is... I mean, we're leading on this collected company pretty hard. Not having the turn 2 Arbiter is not ideal, but if we can find a land, You know, we could go Pridemage on 2, Arbiter on 3, plus a Path, depending on what our opponent does, of course. So, I control neither a forest nor a plains. Thanks. It's funny, this is deck. It's the first game I played with the deck, and it's given us about the worst possible series of draws here. I mean, look, I could have mulliganed the hand, but I don't know, it had everything we wanted, and it seemed reasonable on the play to Mana Tithe somebody on turn 2, and then, you know, hopefully be able to cast a spell. But we'll see what happens here. My opponent with the Swift Spear, and now we're going to get Inquisitioned again. So, I'm nowhere near casting this card, but maybe one day we will. It has reach, for whatever reason. Honestly, not quite sure about the flavor behind this thing. The Qasali, it's got knives and blades, but I gotta say, those don't seem very effective if it's reaching up high to get like a bird or whatever, right? A flyer? I don't know why it has reach anyways. Doesn't look particularly tall, doesn't have strong arms. Can't tell if that's a bow on its back. Maybe it's throwing the knives up in the sky. Anyways, when your opponent's in the tank on Inquisition of Kozilek, you gotta stretch for time, everybody. Forgive me. This card's so cool, though. One of the first cards I ever saw when I started playing Magic that kind of showed me, and everybody has different cards for themselves, but this is one of the cards that kind of showed me what you could do in Magic, and our opponent took it. We're just playing these objectively unplayable Modern cards, and our opponent just keeps taking them with one of the best Modern cards. I love it. And I get to path this Swift Spear. Although I'm not going to. I think I'm going to... Well, actually a good question. I have lots of life. My opponent's playing Lurrus, I assume. Yeah, this is a Lurrus deck, of course. Lurrus Rakdos, one of the better decks in Modern right now. I really don't think I can path that thing. I think I need to hope to hit a land. We did not. Man. Okay, well, you know what? Let's just play out the Pridemage. Finding a third land... Obviously, an untapped one would just be huge for us right now. And this deck needs to deal a bunch of damage to us with its creatures to kill us. So if we're able to Arbiter Path, that's a big game. We'll see whether or not that's possible, I guess. But hey, in the meantime, I mean, we've got a blocker. It actually attacks for 3. Ours does as well. I mean, in all likelihood, I will be taking these hits from the Monastery Mentor. But at least we can crack back for a little bit. It's really interesting to me that this Lurrus board... I mean, this is basically mono red prowess, and they realize that you can just slam Lurrus into the deck. It probably goes right back to being mono red prowess after Lurrus either gets banned or they change companions or whatever it is they're going to do. Might go back to be mono red prowess, but it also might be this thing. We're going to get Fatal Pushed here. That's fine. It could be this thing where the deck... And I'm sorry, I want to make sure I tell you this correctly, but it could be a thing where the deck actually gets better after having a card banned from it. And this is something that Brian Brown Doin talked a lot about some number of years ago. I don't even remember what deck it was. In particular, he was talking about Legacy, I think, where the idea was something came into Legacy and it shook up the format and it was broken and eventually got banned. Misstep, maybe? But Legacy post-Mental Misstep didn't just go back to being Legacy pre-Mental Misstep because all the decks had been forced to change to combat Mental Misstep, and you can't really put the toothpaste back in the tube or whatever, so to speak, right? The genie back in the bottle. So the format of Legacy that came out of that looked very little like the format before it because the decks were forced to improve and find those ways to do it. And I think that could be the case with this deck, right? They're playing black right now solely for the Lurrus, but they get all these other cards, Fatal Push, the Inquisitions, any sideboard cards they might have, and who knows? Maybe this mono red prowess deck that has become Rakdos prowess is just going to be better off being Rakdos prowess because it's better off having those things, the cards like this. So I don't know. It's just an interesting. It's something interesting to think about at least. So something else we can think about is how our opponent is going to get Path to Exile here and not be able to go get a land. And the thing is, we're at 10, but look, we've got one creature away from our opponent. We have a Path to Exile for the next one. We have a Collected Company if we draw land to refill. We can cast, I think, basically anything we draw. My opponent having a Scalding Tarn and fetching with the Scalding Tarn here is probably not going to work out very well for them. I have to say I've been on the receiving end of that way too many times. The way it works with Leonin Arbiter, you have to click the Leonin Arbiter to activate the ability. As you can see, it gives me the option to pay 2 after I click. It does not give you that option once you fetch to put this ability on the stack. This is actually something you have to activate first. So it does not prompt you when you search if you want to pay 2. You have to choose to pay 2 so that you can search your library, and then you may fetch. So my opponent actually strip-mined themselves there, but you know what? People do that quite a bit against Leonin Arbiter, and I am one of them. I played more Modern than almost anybody, but the first time you play against Leonin Arbiter on Magic Online, it always gets you. That said, it worked out pretty well for us, right? The old Dryad Arbor play? Okay. Sure, I'll get a Dryad Arbor, I guess. I'm not doing anything else, so I guess I'll just path this thing. The prowess creature. Path all the prowess creatures, right? This is great for us. I mean, unless something truly crazy happens, I'm feeling okay about where we're at right now. The Lava Dart could be problematic, but the thing is, we have a blocker if our opponent was to do something crazy this turn, but more likely, we're not going to die this turn. Then we get to untap, and then we have a Collected Company for their turn after that, and we're just in a good spot. That said, let's see what our opponent does here with this Swift Spear. One time, no Thoughtseize? Wow. Literally Thoughtseize. Okay. Well, they needed to do something crazy to beat us, and that might have been it. That was pretty good. I'm going to have to take this hit. They only have one card in hand. They have a Lurrus. I don't know if I'll be able to beat the Lurrus. They don't have any creatures in their graveyard, though. I guess that's the good thing about us pathing them. Let's see what happens here. Regal Caracal. Would like to draw a land to cast that one. It would actually be very good here. Other cats get +1 and have lifelink. Lifelink seems pretty relevant. So I would just like to survive, please. So, all right, here's the question. Do we think that I can fire up the Stirring Wildwood and attack? This takes 4, right? I would love to start making tokens, but we're 1 short. We can also use the Stirring Wildwood as a blocker. And given that my opponent only has 2 lands, that actually might be the line I'm in for here. And if my opponent kills the Stirring Wildwood, would they do that? Let's see. The Lava Dart will do 1. It makes this do 2. That's 3. It's going to have 4 toughness. So they'd have to sacrifice their mountain. You know, depending on what they have in hand, right? But they'd have to sacrifice their mountain. And that wouldn't even kill the Wildwood. I mean, so this is actually kind of bad for them. Depending on what they... Manamorphose, the 3rd Manamorphose in the top 17 cards. That's pretty much the best card in the deck. So that's not great for us. Honestly, it might just be a chump block with a Dryad Arbor or something. We'll see. And just having that 1 Manamorphose was very bad for us. Fling to Dust, huh? Okay. Wild to me this is getting played in Modern, but I guess it kind of makes sense. I mean, it's a 1-mana cycler, basically, and you get some value from it later. I mean, sure. My Collected Company is gone. I mean, everyone plays with their graveyard. It's perfectly reasonable. This fetch does nothing. I think I have to take this hit and hope to draw a land for this Regal Caracal, which means I probably should have attacked with the Wildwood. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, and my opponent, see, they're actually thinking about it here. It appears anyways. I mean, it makes sense for them to attack. I'm not surprised to see him come in, but I think I can take this hit and go to 5/3 if they wanted to go that route. All right. Let's hit land and just win the game, right? If I get attacked for 3 and gain life here, I feel pretty good. Not quite. Not the worst. The blocker. I can't attack with my Dryad Arbor now. Here's the thing. This is truly problematic. This is an instant, and my opponent can sack that mountain at any time to kill my Dryad Arbor, so I may as well attack with it. It'll be a 2/2 thanks to Exalted from the Pridemage here. So if my opponent wants to throw away their mountain to kill it and miss a prowess sugar on my turn, more power to them, frankly. And then it means, yeah, in theory they let it go, and then it gives us still an out to hit that 5th land for the Caracal. It's been a little bit of a rough game. Look, we're in a perfect position. We could easily win this game here, but it's going to be close. It's going to be very close. It would have just been a lot easier if we'd hit some land or my opponent didn't have that Thoughtseize earlier. Right, there's a bobble. I think we're pretty dead. I'm gonna have to double block, take 3/4. It's pretty rough. All right, there we go. They figured it out. They will be searching now. Yeah, I mean, I am pretty sure that the only way I can win is to double block the Swift Spear. Eat the 2-for-1. Well, I guess, I mean, the Lava Dart makes it a 2-for-1.5, I suppose, but we'll see. Gonna be kind of problematic no matter what we do. And I'm gonna lose my Arbiter out of the deal. Oh no, it's even worse. Oh, we're just dead. We're just dead because of the Soulscar Mage. I mean, I'm going to go for the double block because that's the line here, but this is going to turn this Lava Dart into make... I'm only going to have 3 power. They're going to have a 4 toughness Swift Spear. That is... Oh, this was a mildly tilting game. I won't lie. I actually think we have a reasonable matchup here. We've got a bunch of lifelink stuff, which is pretty much what you want. We have the ability to turn out blockers. But instead, this very specific, weird combination of cards appears to be hosing us. I suppose we can hit a land, though. Untapped land still gets us there. All right, so here we go. Fingers crossed for untapped land. I mean, I say gets us there, but as we're behind. We're behind. We weren't able to take anything off the board there. All right, here we go. All right, hey, bobble away. Brimaz, huh? I guess I'm not dead. I mean, like, I think I'm pretty dead. My opponent's going to lightning bolt me or something. But hey, I'm not technically dead here. I got blocks. What does this do? Whenever Brimaz, King of Oreskos, attacks, create a soldier with vigilance attacking. Also, this has vigilance. That is relevant. Whenever it blocks, create one that's also blocking. All right, so, you know, maybe if my opponent just whiffed on some cards here, but, I mean, look how broken this is. They get a double Cling to Dust from their escape from their graveyard to just make these things huge. That's pretty solid. This prowess deck is really something. I mean, the thing with some of these Mono Red prowess has kind of been around for a long time. It used to look like, is it Blitz? They play some blue cards, that sort of thing. It is impressive that we're on turn 4 or 5, whatever, turn 6 or something right now, and my opponent is still getting this much prowess going every single turn. That said, do I have a shot here? This is an instant? We're just dead. Yeah, we'll do it, but I mean, we're just dead because we're going to put 4 toughness in front of the Soulscar Mage, but we lose to the Cling to Dust. You know, I said I can't believe this card's getting played. You're seeing now why it's getting played. The 5 cards, not a huge cost. That said, they don't have the escape, so maybe this will work. But now we lose our mana. So, wait a minute. I get to keep this? All right, this worked out. Cling to Dust costs 4 on the way back, not 1. So we dodged it. We actually kind of got out of that. We lost the creature, a land. I mean, that is relevant, but there's one. And now, you know, by the way, our creatures have vigilance. Are we going to steal this game? I literally almost scooped. I thought I was for sure dead after we got blown out in that Lava Dart combat, but we had no choice to get blown out. And now look at this. We have our opponent down to 4. All right. I could have fired up the Wildwood and got him down to 1. But here we go. We have blockers for the Swift Spear right now. A Bloodstained Mire from them. I think we might pull this out. The power of Brimaz. Or we'll just get lightning bolted. A double Lava Dart would actually be my preferred way to die, please. If we could do that, that would be great. You're going to kill me. Double Lava Dart me. Okay, we're fetching. I don't really know what to make of that. This is quite the Magic card. It's interesting that this 5-0'd now, in this time period of Modern, when there were so many other time periods. Because if you told me, hey, a 3-4 without an ETB ability, that's going to be in a 5-0 deck on Magic Online, I would have, and you asked me what year it was, I would have said 2015. Not 2020. All right. Anyways, that said, is my opponent just going for the escape on the Clean to Dust here? What's the plan? Okay, they're playing Lurrus. Well, Lurrus has lifelink, for the record. That's pretty relevant. But look, if we had an untapped land, play this Caracal, it doesn't matter if they Lurrus or not. We'll just blow right through it. And my opponent, I guess, did not choose to... I mean, they don't have any mana left. They do have a Bauble, because this is just an incredibly broken interaction. This card obviously should have just said creatures from your graveyard, not permanent spells, but I don't print balance cards these days. I joke. All right, let's see what we can do, though. Let's see what we hit. Land? Sword of Fire, nice. Okay. That's both good and bad. It's obviously a sweet card. Unfortunately, I can't do anything with it right now. I do have to attack here. You know what actually kind of sucks out of this? Maybe this was bad. Maybe this wasn't even the right attack. This was bad, actually. My opponent gets a free block here, and this attack doesn't do anything, and then I don't do anything but play a sword. They get to draw another card. This was actually a bit of a misplay. I don't... Do I win if I swing out? I only get... The thing is, I only get my opponent to 2 if I swing out, because the... You know, I guess the Swift Spear would block one of these 3-power creatures. I'd get in for 2. They'd gain 3. They'd still be at 1, and I would not have a sword in play. So I don't know. On the other hand, though, our attack didn't do anything. We basically did nothing for our turn, and now our opponent gets to play out of their graveyard again. So the Sword of Fire and Ice, though, that's a pretty relevant one. Obviously, they drew the Lightning Bolt. This was an incredibly unfortunate game, I think, in every way. All right, on to game 2, though. See what we can do here. All right, Black-Red Prowess, you say. This seems pretty good. The Vryn Wingmare sounds pretty good. The Relic is probably fine here. All right, what don't we want? Like I said, honestly, I think our deck is fairly well set up here. The Pride Sovereigns, I love seeing this card, but it probably isn't what we want here. It is pretty good. I like the free card. The Feast and Famine I don't think we need. We just want the pro-red here. I mean, I have Stoneforge, Batterskull, Thalia in my deck. This has to be a good matchup for us. I do not want to lose this one. Mana Tithe also seems pretty sweet for what it's worth. Look at this. We got the Blessed Alliances now, too, to gain life and make a... If I don't win this game, if we play a normal game of Magic and I don't win this game, I'm going to go on mild tilt. Because our deck is so fun. I would just hate to lose to what has to be one of our better matches in the field. We're full of... They play on little mana, and we have taxes, and we have sack effects. We've got to be able to take one here, right? I would like to go first. Yeah, we had so many turns in that last one where we just draw a land and we win, or we draw a spell on this turn and we win, or they don't have Thoughtseize and we win. Lots of stuff went wrong, but let's see if we can make some things go right in this one. Not with this hand, though. All right, now this is something I can get behind right here. I'm going to throw away one of these companies, I think. Which is sort of a silly thing to say, right? Collecting Company's an incredibly great Magic card, one of the best, but with no acceleration... Even on the play here against that deck, I think we want to keep our Thalia for turn 2. We want the Blessed Alliance for turn 3 if we need it. And we want the Company on 4, and we're going to need the lands to make that happen. So, that said, I will probably not be playing a Thalia on turn 2. Thing is, that's fine. I mean, look, we still make our opponent think about this Blessed Alliance, right? If they just play creatures, try to attack, you know, we're going to get their Swift Spear. And if... they do nothing because they don't want to play into it, well, then we just get to do nothing, and every turn that we play a land, we get to build up more, and then eventually we get to escalate this, and maybe untap our stuff, maybe gain life, I don't know. It definitely makes the game a little awkward for my opponent, though. And they're just going to play into it. I mean, this is likely the correct decision on their part. I mean, I say that, maybe we're just going to get Inquisitioned. They may just have they may just have it all, and it doesn't matter. We'll take 1 billion damage, but we'll see. It's still probably correct. I mean, I'm always going to have this Blessed Alliance, so they basically have to attack into it and get it out of our hand at some point, right? So, all right. Target opponent sacrifices an attacking creature. Okay, well, we're untapping on turn 3 with 20 life. That's not a bad place to be. Now, the thing with the Swift Spear is it's obviously going to come back later with the Lurrus. You know, all we can really do is just try to enact our own game plan by then. You know, we're using this basically to buy time right now, hoping that company and the really powerful cats we can draw will get us there in the meantime. I would like to draw a playable card right now, though. That wouldn't be too bad. And my opponent must have a Fatal Push. That's why they were debating on the Soulscar Mage there. That's what I would guess, anyways. We hit a Thalia. We can actually... it doesn't really punish them for it, but it is pretty good for us. The card they have to care about, and if they do want to push it or bolt it, it's going to take 2 mana. It means they can't go Lurrus and play Bauble, because Bauble would also cost 1 more. And then we have our Collected Company for next turn. So Thalia was a pretty nice draw there. Obviously, I can take a hit from the Soulscar Mage. It's so silly, this black-red deck. You know, I really appreciate it and like it from a deck building standpoint. It's just, with these baubles, it's just kind of ridiculous that an aggro deck has this much, like, you know, card advantage, late game staying power, however you want to put it. It is cool from a deck design perspective. From a, you know, power level, competitive balance standpoint, Lurrus cannot get out of here fast enough. And we're going to get Thoughtseize. I just cannot catch a break here. Also possible my opponent was thinking about Thoughtseizing us last turn, but having these Thoughtseizes take our important cards over and over again on the last turn that we could cast them is getting to be a little annoying. But hey, that's why Black-Red Prowess is a good deck. Let's see what we can hit. Let's see if we can punish them. Let's get some kind of nice, not a punish, I guess. Let's see if we can get a good draw, though. Yeah, well, I guess it's not the end of the world. Crack it and see what we hit. Brimaz that I cannot play. Just imagine how different this game would be if those had been in a different order. If we had Brimaz this turn or Canopy next turn. The challenge for us now is that doing nothing on that turn was very painful because my opponent is going to be able to put that tempo to very good use here. As you can see, here comes the Seal of Fire. Another card that you can play out of the graveyard with Lurrus. You know, if we had slammed a Brimaz that turn, I think we might have been able to kind of get things going before it got too ugly. And maybe we have one more turn. I mean, my opponent's going to play Lurrus next turn, I assume. Let's see what their last card in hand is. Just a Manamorphose. All right. The big Soulscar Mage. And a Bolt. Okay, well. I guess Bolt doesn't kill us. We're just taking 4 from the Soulscar Mage here. Not the end of the world. We're still going to be at 10. We're going to have mana. We're going to have 4 mana. I mean, the only thing we can't cast is Regal Caracal. So if we draw a land that any Regal Caracal draw would be very good. But I have lots of good draws here, I think. You know, I say that. Honestly, my opponent just playing Lurrus Seal of Fire is pretty good against our entire deck. Like, for instance, our Leonin Arbiter. So, I say we got a shot here. I mean, this is still really difficult, honestly. Lurrus is just basically impossible to beat if you don't immediately have removal for it. You know, if your opponent ever gets more than one cast, you know, one activation of it, one card out of it, you basically lose. It's just an incredibly good card advantage engine. That's why you see it in Mono Red Prowess contort itself to play it. And you see it in everything. You see it in the burn decks at this point. Companions are a good mechanic, it turns out. The interesting thing is, would Lurrus be worth it in the 60? Apparently not, since everyone only plays it as their companion. I mean, obviously you can't do both, but would you play it in a deck like this if it wasn't free, just for this ability? Probably not. But has an 8th card in hand. It's pretty good. All right, well, our opponent has more Manamorphosis because that's the best card to have. This is going to be a big Soulscar Mage here. Well, Inquisition away. Basically, I think we're going to have to take another big hit. After that, we really need something like Collected Company, because I don't really see how we can play a 2-toughness creature and beat the Lurrus Seal of Fire plan. Wow, my opponent actually tapping out for the Lurrus, so I guess if we hit a path or something here, maybe we got a shot. Maybe not. Yep. Not a Seal of Fire, just a Bauble, which I guess is more beatable. Not particularly beatable, but more beatable. Collected Company, please. Yep, the worst card to draw. I thought about this. It gets one on for each other cat. Okay, well, I guess that means I get a cat. It's a 3/3. Well, this is what we got to do. We got to play it. See what happens. You know, the thing is, we get to make the cats with lifelink that can chump block. I don't really think we're going to beat the Lurrus, but this could work out, right? If our opponent can't kill us with a Soulscar Mage and can't kill our Pride Sovereign with Lurrus, we might actually get to make some tokens here and see what we can do. None of it's going to matter unless we draw an answer to Lurrus, but... Alright, this makes the Soulscar Mage a 2/3. And I don't think you want to attack with Lurrus, friendo. Alright, well, I'm actually happy to block here. And my opponent's plan is likely to use the Seal of Fire to deal 2 damage to the Brimaz to finish it off. But we get this extra token out of the deal. We, in theory, get to take out the Soulscar Mage. Our Pride Sovereign's a 4/4 right now. We're going to untap with it. So, look, suppose we hit Path or something here. Oh, it really works with that. It's not just instant or sorceries, it's any source. This deck's synergy is just off the charts. Wow. You know, and I played Lurrus Mono Red Prowess a couple weeks ago before it evolved into this black-red version that really goes all in on Lurrus with this stuff. This is a powerful deck right here. No wonder it is one of the top decks in Modern right now. The resiliency is just kind of unheard of for a Monastery Swiftspear Soulscar Mage deck, you know? Mana Tithe not very good right now. I guess we'll make some cats. See what we can do. Pass the turn back. This is what I meant earlier, though. You know, that big turn where we had to cycle our thing. You could see we didn't get a chance to get any sort of build-up going with our tokens. Our Brimaz had to bite the dust. There's just nothing that... We just get so far behind because your opponent gets to do stuff like this. We're just dead. Making cats and chump blocking isn't changing this game. That is rough. That is a very good deck. But that's the way it goes. You get to see one of the best decks in Modern, and you can see how we could have beat it. We had lots of chances in Game 1. Didn't quite get there in Game 2, but hope springs eternal. On to the next one. All right, here we go. Trying to pick up a win with cats. Our opponent molded 6, but did the best with it here. They got the Utopia Sprawl on the Force on turn 1. That's what you want to see if you're doing whatever they're up to over there. No companion. All right, a little classic game of Modern here. No companion. Let's go ahead and get our Temple Garden. I like this. I like Birds of Paradise into probably turn 2 Brimaz. I think that honestly might be better than just playing the Stoneforge, because if your opponent doesn't have an answer, especially when they're playing some kind of ramp deck instead of a Fatal Push deck or something like that, this is going to go a long way pretty quickly. All right, well, our opponent's certainly going to think about it. Let's see what this... Our hand can go a lot of directions here. We also could run this Leonin Arbiter Ghost Quarter play. In fact, depending on what my opponent does, that might be better. Let's see. I mean, they're going to have 3 mana right now, but Leonin Arbiter Ghost Quarter the Forest is basically double Strip Mine at this point. As long as... And that might be better than just playing Brimaz. Oh, look at them, though. I don't know if they were... Well, never mind. I was going to say, I don't know if they were thinking about this, but that was actually pretty nice, tight play by spreading the love with those Utopia Sprawls. Generally, you want them all on one if you have an Arbor Elf to untap and make the max amount of mana, but in this case, spreading them out kind of works out for them. Now, obviously, I'm still going to kill it, because why wouldn't I at this point? There's just so much value there. The old 3-for-1. 2-for-1? I guess I don't really know how to put that, but it is certainly pretty nice. This is why you play a deck like this. Wow, look at that. Just brutal. Brutal 3-for-1. And now we get to untap. I mean, we'll see what our opponent's up to. It's not like they can still do plenty here, but I mean, they mulliganed and had 3 of their cards taken down. That's not easy. But we'll see what they're up to. I mean, I'd love to untap and play a Brimaz here to try to start the beatdown. What does this do? Protection from instants at level 3. Protection from everything at level 8. Okay, well. At level 8, it's a 3-turn clock on us. And I'd also just... Well, our hand is just sick. I'm just going to untap and path this. They're conveniently 1 mana short of giving it protection from instants. I'm just going to play a Stoneforge and path the Hexdrinker, and they can't search. This game was a blowout. And that is why you play Leonin Arbiter, friends, because it's a cat. Or because it taxes your opponent. One of those two. Alright, path away this Hexdrinker. 1 time. No, it only levels the sorcerer. You don't even get blown out by the Simian Spirit Guide. Alright, let's play Stoneforge. Gosh, I've even got this Pridemage for that Utopia Sprawl if I wanted it. What do I want here? Oh, I can't search my library! That's funny. A little bit of the old anti-synergy there. That's pretty funny. I told you everybody gets got, and I meant myself. We don't call it punting modern for nothing. Wait a minute, we don't call it that. Well, alright, that's fine. Leonin Arbiter, by the way, also pretty good against the current Tribe Elder. You know what? Sometimes you gotta play Squire and beat down. Now any equipment we draw, we can cheat into play. Obviously, in retrospect, you could make an argument for playing the Pridemage. It's all fine. I'm not stressing about this one. I think we're in a pretty good spot here. I mean, this is really difficult for my opponent. We're obviously attacking them. We're going to kill them pretty slowly here, but that'll speed up quite quickly with the Brimaz. By the way, we've seen black-green Utopia Sprawls as Sakura Tribe Elders for my opponent here. Dare I say it's something cool like Death Cloud that they're on? Black-green Value Town? These are all decks I've played in the past. Alright, so we get to attack for quite a bit. Now, wow, my opponent's plan is just going to be to chump block and then pay 2 to search. That's not great for them. Let's move to combat. The old Squire beatdown. Okay, interesting. I don't know why they wouldn't block. Okay, they're gonna scoop. Scooping works too. Okay, black-green. What you doing over there? I actually don't really know what you're doing. Sort of Light and Shadow seems like it'll probably be good, though. Probably don't need the Qasali Ambushers. Honestly, don't know what we need. Are these cards good? Sure. The Qasali Ambusher really doesn't seem like he's going to be very good here. As much as I enjoy the card, we must ship it back. We really didn't see anything out of him, though, honestly. We saw a Sakura Tribe Elder, and some ramp. I mean, all we saw were ramp cards. We actually have no idea what my opponent's, what our opponent's up to here. So, I guess we'll find out. Might have a better idea for sideboarding in Game 3, at least. This is a pretty easy mulligan. Ship that 7 and get a pretty bad 7. All right, well, 5 cards it is. Let's see what we can find on 5. All right, our opponent's shipping 2. I like that. They kept their 6. Looks like we got to keep this one. Ship the Caracal. I can't cast that. Probably ship the Pride Sovereign. I mean, we have a Stoneforge Mystic. I'm obviously just going to try to ride a Stoneforge Mystic to victory here. But we also have the Leonin Arbiter Ghost Quarter. It's a slower version, clearly, but could still work for us here. Our opponent's got a Birds as well. Okay. Brimaz, huh? You don't say. Okay. It'll be a while before we can, I think, do too much work with that, but it'll be good eventually. Hoping that the old Stoneforge Batterskull is pretty good. Hoping that that'll stand by. When you can't do anything broken, you just get a Batterskull. I say that. I mean, who knows? Maybe we're better off getting a Sword of Feast and Famine here. Our opponent is playing black-green, right? Thoughtseize? I honestly don't even mind this Thoughtseize. They take the Stoneforge. Seems like their best play. I still have the Arbiter plus the Ghost Quarter plus the Path and a Brimaz when we find land. And if they don't take the Stoneforge, then we have a Stoneforge. So this doesn't seem like the best Thoughtseize from them. Like, I'd much rather them play Thoughtseize here and attack our hand than I would them just play some kind of creature I couldn't deal with, or a Liliana or something that would just absolutely wreck us. Turn 2 Liliana, probably pretty difficult to beat. So they're going to go in the tank on this one. And they're actually going to take the Path. Okay. Guess they got some kind of creature they care about. So that means I probably go get a Sword of Feast and Famine. If they got a creature they care about, they don't want to get Path, it's probably black or green. Oh, I see. I'd like protection for black and green. Looks like not going to get that opportunity, though. Thoughtseize and Inquisition. Their opponent just on, like, some kind of rock deck? Not Death Cloud, as they've got Birds. And Brimaz hits the bin, huh? It's an interesting one. Alright, that's a land. I like that. A little awkward land, but I guess we got to do what we got to do. Play the Stoneforge Mystic. Sure, they have the push or something here. If they let us keep it, there's a reason they let us keep it. Honestly, what if I just got the Sword of Light and Shadow? Depends if we think our opponent's creatures are black or green, I guess. Is this... I mean, this doesn't even seem like it's going to be that good for us, but the Sword of Light and Shadow seems very good here, getting creatures back from our graveyard. And if the game goes long, they do have the removal for the Stoneforge here, which they don't yet, at least. But if they have removal for Stoneforge, creatures trade off, boards get wiped. Like, keep in mind, I still have no idea what our opponent's even doing, but apparently he's playing a Tarmogoyf. Well, Sword of Light and Shadow doesn't give protection from that, but it does still kind of punish them for attacking with it. Also, Collected Company is a Magic card. Not one I'm disappointed about drawing. I guess I'll just pass the turn back here. But did my opponent miss a land drop? I just play the Leonin Arbiter. Kind of like playing the Arbiter, I guess. This is a little difficult here, but we can take hits from the Tarmogoyf. If my opponent draws a fetch land, we tax them. You know, if they do, like that, for instance, they draw the Windswept Heath, and the Arbiter actually gets to tax them if they don't have removal, and we can untap, Ghost Quarter them if we want to, of course, and then still have the Stoneforge Mystic activation with the Sword of Light and Shadow, which we can then put onto the Leonin Arbiter. I mean, we'll see what they do here, but I think this was a good line. Okay, well, we've taken such good lines, our opponent doesn't know what to do about it. Wow, they're just going to move to combat. Wow, okay, so what did they paid for the... A little confused here. I don't know if they were trying to pay for the Windswept Heath and didn't know how it worked. I mean, funny story, actually. The Windswept Heath, it's a swamp thanks to the Urborg, so that's something to keep in mind. Very much something to keep in mind, as a matter of fact. All right, let's see what we do, though. I mean, we have plenty of life. We have plenty of time. We have all kinds of options. I can now throw in a Batterskull. I guess I attack with this Leonin Arbiter. So the thing here is that because our opponent can actually tap that Windswept Heath for black mana, if I were to try to Ghost Quarter something, they would be able to go search. I would just be strip mining myself. That seems pretty bad. Passing the turn back and throwing down a Batterskull when our opponent attacks with Tarmogoyf, that seems pretty good. I think we'll be doing that. And the thing is, just having the threat of this Ghost Quarter means that if at any point my opponent taps down to 1 mana, they get strip mined, should we feel like it. So it's something they're always going to have to think about. And now they might get a little blown out. The worst part for them, too, is that we just... Our last 2 draws have been straight fire, as the cool kids say, to kind of provide a counterweight from that first match where things did not go our way. This time, we drew into a Batterskull after our opponent had seen our hand, so they had no idea this was coming here, so we get to try to move to the block. They could fetch to make theirs a 4/5. They're not going to. Okay. Well, we did it. Tarmogoyf down. And honestly, if they'd spent their turn doing that, like I said, I would have been fine. I would just strip mined them. Now, though, I mean, let's go to town, right? Oh, we just gonna hit him for 6? All right, I'm feeling pretty good here. Because now, it's just so much worse for them. If we have this Aven Mindcensor to really punish them for trying to fetch. If they try to fetch with Aven Mindcensor out, and Aven Mindcensor, of course, does have Flash, if an opponent would search a library, instead they search the top 4 of the library instead. Not really where they want to be. And now, they do not have the ability to go search. They have tapped 2 mana. And we can decide what we want to do. Honestly, I'm probably just going to play the Mindcensor on the instep. I went for that surprise block because it would have taxed them, and I felt like, oh my gosh, we just get to get them. I told you when we played this deck, people would be got. I don't know if I expected the first got to be with a Mindcensor instead of a Mana Tithe, but I guess if you... Nah, we already decided we're counting that Mana Tithe from last game, but... Aven Mindcensor, alright, friend. Oh, your top 4 didn't have a land, a forest, or plains? That's too bad. I'm gonna untap and Ghost Quarter you? No, I'm not gonna get the chance. There you go, everybody. Taking it down with the cats. Now, granted, we played exactly 1 cat that game, and it was a Leonin Arbiter. It's a heavily played cat anyways. But whatever, tribal cats winning. Let's see if we can pick up another. All right, more cats in Modern. Our opponent is apparently on Gerudo combo over there. That seems fine for us, honestly. I've played that deck before, so we're going to keep this hand. I've played that Gerudo deck. I know that it probably doesn't have a bunch of Thoughtseizes or something like that. It does have the old turn 0 Gemstone Cavern, so that's pretty nice for them. We'll see what we can do here. I mean, I am hopeful, fingers crossed, that I get a Mana Tithe the Gerudo at some point. That would basically be the dream. And we'll see what happens. Look at our opponent getting that sweet Gemstone Caverns luck counter value over there with the Farseek. I wonder if they... I have no idea how these... Alright, let's see. I have no idea exactly how this deck is going to work with these lands over there, but I do know that Leonin Arbiter on turn 2 is probably pretty decent here. I suspect if our opponent's playing cards like Farseek, surely they got fetches and the like in there. Let's go ahead and run out an Arbiter and see what happens. Now, this is, I guess, a little slower than the Stoneforge beatdown plan, but look at it this way. On turn 2, we play the Arbiter. On turn 4, we can play the Stoneforge. I don't know. Maybe you play Stoneforge there? I'm just not sure. I really want to cut my opponent off of another Farseek type effect if we get that opportunity. Chalice of the Void on 2, huh? Well, I guess I will not be playing a Stoneforge Mystic. I like the Ghost Quarter. This adds any color of mana. I guess we'll hit that. It was legendary. I mean, maybe I could hit the Stomping Ground since we can't search. Let them know they have it. I have no way to interact with this Chalice of the Void. My Qasali Pridemages cost 2. I guess that's not technically true. I guess I could collect a company into a Qasali Pridemage, blow up the Chalice, and cast that Stoneforge, but I just wanted to let them know that they got there. That said, we've got to get there. We've got to beat down our opponent before we get Geruda'd. On the plus side, I suppose, they have 1 black mana. They don't even have their colors quite yet. Next turn, I guess we're on the fire up the Stirring Wildwood and get in there plan. So, they now have their colors, so, but just countering their companion might work. This seems a little better than the old fire up the Wildwood plan. We do that next turn. Our deck is actually pretty decent against Chalice of the Void. We don't have a ton. I mean, I think we're probably heavy on the 2-drop spot, but we got a lot of 3-drops. We got 1-drops. We have Collected Company on 4. My opponent's last land is a Chalice of the is a Cavernous Souls. All right, well, we might get Krakened. Here comes Geruda. I guess fingers crossed that they whiff. I mean, when enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 of each player's library. Wow. Okay. This is interesting. This is a value Geruda deck. Huh. Okay, well, I can path this Wormcoil. I don't really know what our plan is to win the game, but I guess we're in a little bit of a stalemate here. I mean, I'm sure as heck going to send a message with the Birds of Paradise. You can be sure of that. All right, message sent. I don't know, though. I mean, we have 2 cards that don't really do anything. Let's see what else my opponent has. Another Wormcoil. Oh, wait. They tapped out for a Wormcoil? Are we doing it? This isn't a Kraken. We've done it! We have got somebody with the... It was a beautiful Mana Tithe. I don't really know if we can win. My opponent can't attack for what it's worth right now. And we drew the Path to Exile. There you go, everybody. We might be living the dream here. Turn this thing around, baby. Fire up the Wildwood and attack. If we win this game, that would be so sick. I mean, I probably can't beat like another Wormcoil, but my opponent is down to 5. We Mana Tithe the Wormcoil engine and then got to Path of Geruda. What's the follow-up? If the follow-up's a Wormcoil, they're probably going to get us, but it's nothing, and we got there. Tribal Cats OP. Wow. Okay. Well, the Mindcensors seem great. The Winds of Abandon also seem good. Exiling creatures is very good against what our opponent is up to. I think this works. Let's see here. Make sure I understand Geruda right. It puts them into the graveyard, yes? It does. But it's all one... I don't actually know how this works. Let's find out. Sorry, I'm furiously Googling this over here to try to understand if this works. I'm trying to figure out how Graveyard Hate works against Geruda. Yeah, I don't think it works, because the way it works is the ability where you mill and then get one. You mill 4, you get one. It's all part of one ability. There's no period there where we can actually interact via Relic of Progenitus, but we can get them via Rest in Peace, as a matter of fact. As usual, the Ambushers seem pretty bad, unfortunately. The rest of these cards all seem pretty decent, though. We have a lot of 2s here. All right, I'm gonna cut a couple. I'm gonna cut a couple Mana Tithes. We're on the draw, and surely our opponent wouldn't let us get him again, right? There'd be no way. There would be no way we would get him with another Mana Tithe, is there? That's why you keep one, just to find out. All right, what do I actually want to do here? I guess I'll cut a Pride Sovereign. Honestly, not quite sure. I haven't seen this value Geruda deck before. Are they playing? It's a Valakut deck, right? It's got to be a Valakut deck. So there's the Mana Tithe. We're going to keep it. This hand actually seems somewhat reasonable. Look, we might even get to Mana Tithe like a Farseek or something on turn 2 and then go Qasali Pridemage into Pride Sovereign. That's not a bad plan at all. Or we can play Thalia on 2. Probably would do that one. I mean, honestly, my biggest concern at this point already, seeing how this game is lining up, is probably going to be Wormcoil Engine. I mean, I guess if they're playing a bunch of clones with Garuda, then that's one thing. And we might just die to that, but I don't think that's what they're doing, right? They're just playing a Valakut deck, and because it's modern and because companions are basically a broken mechanic, you play Garuda because it's not that hard to play Bring to Light Scapeshift or whatever with Garuda as just an extra card that you can cast. Well, I would happily... Make sure I get the right one here. Snow-covered plains. Mana Tithe, the Sylvan Caryatid. The only one in the deck. It's pretty sick. All right, Thalia it is, I suppose. Mirror Pool. Well, my opponent is playing some spice over there. Look at that. Mirror Pool, huh? 2 and a colorless specifically. Sack it, copy target instant or sorcery. 5 and a colorless, sack it. You get a copy of target creature you control. Interesting card. Find one to fetch out with a Primeval Titan, I guess. They really have enough other colorless sources, though? Interesting. Alright, well, that's fine, I guess. I mean, our opponent is ramping. Not a ton we can do about it. We stopped one piece. We can't stop the Sakura Tribe Elder. But I can play a Pride Sovereign. It's not big yet, but it'll get bigger. Next turn, I play probably the sword, because the sword, our own sword gets taxed because of the Thalia, which is fine. We'll pay 4 mana for our sword. Then on turn 5, we can equip the sword and play the Pridemage, I guess? Question mark? We'll see. Let's see what my opponent does. I mean, honestly, just playing the 6/6 Garuda is kind of annoying. Do they have the double green? They actually don't have the double green right here to activate this. So they don't have Primeval Titan mana quite yet. Which is good, because we're pretty dead to Primeval Titan. Brutality on the Pride Sovereign, huh? Sure thing, I guess. And they get a look at my hand for an instant or sorcery, which I do not have. Wow, okay, so they've got one card in hand. If that card isn't very good, we've got a real shot here. There's a Stoneforge Mystic. Alright, so new play, and it's definitely just got to be Qasali Pridemage plus Stoneforge now. Go get our Sword of Feast and Famine, I guess is probably the right one to get. Sword lets us through attack through a lot. And the nice thing, too, about this Qasali Pridemage, in addition to giving +1 to our Thalia here, it can blow up a Wormcoil. I mean, not that blowing up Wormcoil is exactly where we want to be, because they still leave behind the tokens. I'd rather exile it, but we've certainly got a shot with that plan. But here comes Garuda. So fingers crossed it's not terrible for us, at least. All right, here we go. Just the old whiff? You get anything? Even converted mana cost. So they can get a Sylvan Caryatid, or from us, they can get a Thalia or a Leonin Arbiter. I gotta say, it's probably about as much as you could hope for. And now we get on tap with Stoneforge, we get to Violin, this Sword of Feast and Famine, we get to attack, we get to make our opponent discard their last card in hand, which may or may not be relevant, we get on tap and play our sword. This is all pretty good. This is all looking pretty good for the home team. Good guys winning currently. Alright, alright, so I think what I do is play this, I just activate this Stoneforge. Put in the Sword of Feast and Famine. Oh, they have a white blocker now. I see. That's why they did this. I do not have protection from white. My creature will be big enough. I mean, I guess that's still fine, right? If they're just chump blocking, so be it. I still think I want the Sword of Feast and Famine. Put it on our Thalia, and I guess get on in there. Yeah, it's just a chump block from them. Or they take it, which I think would actually just be disastrous for them. Because we would, I mean, I guess I don't know what their card in hand is. It might not be anything, so they might not care about it. But honestly, even just letting us untap and play this sort of Fire and Ice, that way we have access to more mana next turn. Yeah, okay. The chump block here makes more sense. Surprised it took them. Wow, they're really thinking about this. Well, I guess there's 2 Thalias in play. I say that I wouldn't even be able to cast this, but they're really just going to take it. Okay. Let's see what their card in hand is. I'm just trying to. It was nothing. I guess I'm just trying to figure out how they win the game from here. So I'll go ahead and shock this in. And I guess we'll just pay 5 for a sword. Why not? Modern 2020, baby. 5 mana swords. I mean, look. Maybe my opponent's plan is to race, I suppose. But I'm just going to take 8. I don't care. They're not going to burn me out. And they drew a Castle Ardenvale, so I honestly think that they might be dead here. I'm going to get through with one of these swords next turn. Oh, they're just coming in, huh? Okay. Well, I will take it. Alright, let's see what we can do. Another Stoneforge. Right, we'll go ahead and crack this. Get a birds. Alright, well, let's go ahead and put this one on the Qasali Pridemage, I guess. Yeah, one of these creatures is getting in there. And then we can even play our other Stoneforge, go get our Batterskull, have a chump block. We might take down this this Gerudo Valakut deck or whatever the heck it is. They're going to give us the Sword of Feast and Famine, huh? Okay. I mean, that makes sense. That's fine. Yep. Got him at 7. And you know what's actually the sickest about this is that we get to search out with this Stoneforge Mystic, go find our Batterskull or our I guess that's all we have left, right? Yeah. And because we have this other Stoneforge in play, we can actually vial this in on vial, so to speak, right? We can Stoneforge Mystic vial in the Batterskull. So we can even make a chump block, or we could just win. There you go, everybody. Cats taking down Gerudo. Companions not needed. This was an awesome deck, and we got to live the dream with Mana Tithe. Everybody, that is how we do it here on Mighty Modern. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Corbin Hosler. You can find my content every Thursday here on CoolStuffInc. You listen to my podcast, Brainstorm Brewery. I'm doing the Advantage Bar. It's a show on Wizards of the Coast YouTube channel. You can check that out as well. So, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week.